Does anyone else remember Hazbin Hotel? Probably not. I do not remember the name of the creator, but had seen a few people discuss the show when it came out in 2024, and I was one of them. I loved it. Charlie, Alistor, Mimsy, and obviously Angel Dust, of course. I did like it, and I say did for a reason. Past tense, not present, but that is now changed. I fear that I will not be able to want another episode of Hazbin Hotel after I witnessed something on my own prime. And even Vivian Midraon herself did not want me to see. And now they want me to pay for it. Basically, on the night of Hazbin Hotel released, I woke up with the alarm I set to go off as soon as I could watch it on my Android tablet. It was dark. Midnight outside on the day of the release for episode 1 and the rest of the season ready for me to watch. The alarm rang, and I was greeted by my Angel Dust wallpaper smiling back at me. A comforting grin for me at the time, but oh God, that changed. Before I could start the episode, I ordered a double Big Mac, milk, a large French fries with chicken nuggets from McDonald's to assist me in my binge watching. Mysteriously, though, the order arrived fast. Too fast. I just assumed the delivery guy was also excited to watch the news work from Vivian Medrano, so was acting quickly. I thought for a second if I should ask him to join me in my viewing session, but for some reason, I felt compelled not to. I booted up the CD, containing episode 1 and the rest of them into my tablet, and watched in anticipation as the Amazon Prime logo into view on the screen. I wept a tear away as I saw Charlie, the protagonist of Hazbin Hotel, grinding back at me mischievously with that classic mischievous grin the characters are so well known for. Anyway, I clicked on episode 1, but before I did, I noticed something. Episode 0 was listed. This is odd, I thought. Usually cartoons start with episode 1. What's next? I need to start watching Owl House, another fantastic show, on episode -11? Either way, mildly frustrated, I realized that starting with episode 0 made most sense because 0 comes before 1. I didn't want to risk missing out any important plot details. The thought made me shudder, so I clicked away. You might think, dear reader, that this is a work of fiction, but believe me, I would not be writing this down if it was a lie. Words cannot lie, and therefore I am telling you the truth which I swear on by both my parents' graves by. The episode started with the sound of a crashing, shattering bottle, and zoomed in on the hotel to show Husk, screaming, incomprehensibly, and throwing bottles to someone off screen, cutting his hands on the glass. This a bit violent for a show supposed to be set in hell, I thought to myself. But then I remembered. This show is rated a teen for a reason. Eventually, Husk calmed down, sighing deeply into his hands, before the shot reversed to Angel Dust, sitting at the bar. But he wasn't just sitting, he was waiting. He checked his watch with a nervous expression on his pinty face.
Don't worry, Husk. We've locked her upstairs. There's no way she can get down.
Don't call it a she, Husk responded triumphantly. That Masator is more of a creature to me. We already saw what she did to Vaggie. I can't lose you too.
Don't say that about Charlie.
Angel Dust responded to the claim, holding back tears. Charlie. I thought, isn't she supposed to be the protagonist of the show? Why would Huck and Angel Dust keep her locked upstairs? I remember. The autobiography Pure showed Cheryl as a normal teen girl who just had dreams of opening a hotel she could stay. Not being some kind of, as Husk called her, monster. Suddenly, my attention was brought back to the screen of my iPad when a loud thump escaped the speakers, followed by a moaning sound, like someone moaning and grounding in pain.
She hurt. I can still hear her.
Angel Dusk said, fully crying at this point. He stood up, but Husk stopped him. Don't do it. Don't go up there, Dust, he said. Whatever it is, it's not her. It's trying to trick you. If you go up there, you'll be devoured. Then what am I supposed to do? I can't live without you. He blushed. Forget I said that. Wow. Gay representation and my fave ship? Man, this show is great.
I'm going!
Cried Angel, escaping Husk's grasp and running up the steps. As he did, I noticed an urn on the ground by the door. Now, I don't have good eyesight at all, and the urn was only there for a second. But I could have sworn written on it was Vivian Madrano, 1980 to 2024, the exact year Hazbin Hotel came out. I had heard rumors of her death before. I even saw a supposed obituary for her on Facebook. But I assumed it was all rumors or legends. But could this confirm it? And I'd read to think, could this show have been the cause of her death? There was something sinister about this episode. Something I wasn't supposed to see. Anyway, Dusk watched tearfully as Angel ran up the steps, his facial expression animated to perfection. So perfect I was almost convinced her was real. I started to sob myself as the love of his life ran towards the groaning upstairs and assumed death at the hands of that thing. Whatever it was, almost without thinking, Husk slammed his paw, onto the broken glass on the tablet, and then slammed his head down onto it, ripping the skin and covering himself with blood and bruises that looked too real, too gory to be in a kid's show. The blood looked so real, it looked more like it was a photograph, and not animated in Toon Boom at all. Scratched to pieces. With the only fingers he had left, he pulled a gun out from under the bar counter and shot. Realistic brain matter all over the drinks behind him. I gasped. The McDonald's in my stomach turning sour. I was going to throw up. Just as I had started to really relate to Husk as a character. And just like that, he killed himself. Just as I started to wonder why he did it. The blood and brain matter behind him started to spell something out. It said, "This is my suicide note, Angel Dust. I cannot live without you. Ever since I saw you go up the stairs, I knew I didn't want to know what would happen to you. I didn't want to see what it did to you. So if anyone wants to know why I did this, Sharuili, or whatever she's become now, made me." I wanted to turn it off. I really did. But I felt compelled to keep watching. The camera stayed on Husk for about 6 minutes and 34 seconds. Then ever so slowly, started to pan up the stairs. So slowly, in fact, that I was not sure if Angel was even panning or still. God, talk about the frame rate. About 24 frames per second was standard. This had to be at least twice as many frames as the camera panned up the steps. The moaning and grounding downs increased along with the snippets of what sounded like Charlie Lee's voice. I remember how she sounded from the pilot, and as we know, it is the same voice actor, but it was off. But so accurate, I can see why Angel Dust had fallen for this trick. It sounded like a slightly pitched up impression of Charile, snippets of words, combined with a crunching and voiding sounds. I covered my mouth with my hands. As it reached the door, and I could see red blood splattered and staining the red hotel carpet, or too realist to be animated in cell frame animation. It had to be a photo or real. I could hear the cries of Angel Dust as he slowly came into view, or what was left of him anyway. He was being devoured by the thing, something that was clearly trying to look like Charile from Hazbin. Would that count as cosplay? But very much wasn't. It was made from real photos, warped, and copy-pasted to look like Charile, as if done in Photoshop. A collage of parts made to resemble her. Her hair was the color of skin, and she had large, blinking, twisting eyes. She crunched down Angel Dust's bones. Poor Dust was hopelessly trying to make web to get himself the heck out of there. But he was no match against the thing's grip, and he was devoured in bloody chunks that this Charile monster was swallowing whole. He was screaming in real agony. And so was I, after Charile swallowed the last bite of Angel Dust. His voice stopped screaming. She stood there, in the hotel room, surrounded by the bodies of Vaggie, Penchus, Nifty, and Alistor, all mutilated to look beyond comprehension. She looked, frowned to have destroyed her friends. I thought she was supposed to be the princess of hell. Is this how she treats her subjects after all they have done for her? I started to question what I thought about everything. I understand why Husk preferred to commit suicide over suffering this fate. I felt depressed, the saddest I had felt in all my 37 years of life. I wished I had done the same as Husk all those 2 minutes ago. But before I could totally spiral into depression, the thing previously known as Chirel looked into the camera, still made from a collage of real photos. The Pisces of her suddenly started to rearrange themselves and reform into... I couldn't believe it. Vivian Madran. It was her. The thing that drove Husk to suicide and killed the rest of the lovable cast. It was she who did that. She created them, and now she will destroy them. She was the original photograph that was photobashed to into that beat that took away all the close to my heart. My hand trembled shut of my iPad as Vivian stared at me through the screen. But before I could, there was a jump scare. Her eyes went red, and an ear-piercing sound screeched from my iPad. I thought the speakers weren't even capable of making so loud. And the text, "Check your phone" wallpaper written underneath Vivian's face, that now had sharp teeth and red eyes, covered in blood. Just then, my iPad ran out of power. Completely terrified, I was plunged into the darkness of my room with no iPad to use. My hand shook, but I knew what I had to do. I picked up my Galaxy phone and pressed the on button. I was anticipating to be met by my wallpaper, the same one that I've had over 3 years now, of Angel Dusk looking proudly into the camera. The image that always filled me with courage, hope, and bravery. Whenever I was having a bad day working my job at the local Londis. But what I saw was Angel Dust torn to shreds, just like Charlisle had done to him. And crying, teeth and eyes removed, even clumps of air with the text,
"Why didn't you save me?"
underneath. Goodbye, McDonald's meal. I vomited at that moment. Until this day, I'm not the same. I get intense depression, even when I'm watching other cartoons. I feel cold and queasy all the time. And I've even started developing a rash on my leg that could be asthma. I couldn't handle unlocking my phone again. I could handle seeing that wallpaper image of my comfort character beaten up and bruised and some hoe blaming me for not saving him. So I got a new phone, the iPhone 3X. But when I booted it up for the first time, after the Apple logo faded and it booted up, I saw the exact same picture.